Good morning. Welcome to the world of conscious positive thinking with MJ, where your thoughts become your power and your mindset becomes your compass. MJ is here to guide you through a journey of self-awareness, emotional mastery, and empowered living.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Want to make
reach out and touch your musical sound, no matter you're young or old, God, let the good time roll. But until you say, right. Can't wait any longer. My love cannot linger. Hear the river whisper keenly. See no matter if you're happy, see no matter if you're blue. My love, it a shine on for you. My heart, it a bubble up for you. My love, it a shining for you. It a shining for you. Hey you, hey you. It a shining for you. Say when love could have never grow old. Love work, Mount Diamond and Pearl. Till it is a world on the top of the world.
Hey, here we are. Are we still thumping and growing? Are we still having a lot of fun times going on? What are we doing? How are we doing? What's happening? It's a new year. Woo, it's a new year. It's a new year. It's a new year. So this is the horse, as we said before, going forward. We are going to continue addictions part 2. We're going to really dig down deep today. We're going to try our best to try to get us going and try to move us into a different space. And maybe if we have somebody in our life that has addictions or they have a pattern in families of addictions, right? Now we are able to say, did we try this? Did we try that? So we are going to finish all that this morning. And before we do that, we have a couple of things going on that I love to hear and see about. First of all, is that beautiful big light in the sky last night that you want to draw your curtains and go, what the heck, schmeck? So between January 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, on January 3rd, we have our traditional full moon. It's a super moon. It was the wolf moon, and it is sensitive signs in Cancer, the crabby clawers. And so spiritually, the lunation emphasizes emotional security, ancestral roots, and the inner home. You're coming in. It's the Cancer. We have to go within. When we go within, what do we find? Well, we do find our ancestral lines, and we do find our inner peace, and we do find our emotional securities. So this is the time for intuitive rebirthing. It is the power pack. So reflecting of namesakes of the wolf moon highlights community, loyalty, and social bonds. So it also has emotional resilience. It's nurturing and self-caring. So enjoy this beautiful moon. It is intimate. It's private. It's going within, and source it. If it's bringing a negative emotion, flip those patterns, give us a call, get some help, because this moon's going to dig deep. And it kind of goes with our addictions, and our addiction line is digging deep. We got to start digging deep. Okay. And getting some things moving forward. We just have to start learning how to dig deep in there. Let's get some. What do we want here? Maybe a little dance pop. What do we want? we don't have Jewel in the background, so it's only me on all the controls today. So yeah, we have to figure this out. What do we want? No, that's too much. We want this. So how was your weekend? The weekend of ours, it was hard. I don't know if anybody else out there for the last 2 or 3 weeks, I couldn't figure out what was the weekend, what was the weekdays. It just felt such like weekends with all the excitement. And then, of course, you know, we have all these other things. Does everyone see that blinking light? That's a blinker. That's telling me, MJ, move onwards. I'm going to move onward. Okay, so here we go. We got our show today. It is number 65. What does 65 equal? 6 plus 5 equals 11. Woo! But no, we got to go further because 2 digits and we get a 2. It is the number 2. It is brought to you today by the number 2. We're in Sesame Street. So number 2, the angels are assisting you to feel balanced and harmonious. They are surrounding you, your home, and loved ones, bringing security and stability to all. Your angel number today contains the descending number pattern. Descending number pattern. It is vital that you pay great attention for the finer details of the theme that is contained within the message brought to you by your angel number 65. Your angel power word today, isn't it funny? Home beautification. And what is our full moon telling us with the crabby crab? Come in and clean up the home, right? The crab's home is within the shell. And our angel power word, I just love how things align. Angel beautification. Your angel number today also contains the number 65. The angels are encouraging you to make changes around your home. Clearing clutter is an excellent way to move stagnant energy in and out of the home. Look, we got all these Christmas gifts and presents we got to make room for. Bring them in. Remove something that maybe been sitting in a corner or a cupboard for over a year that we don't need. MJ, it's harder. I know it's harder to actually do than say, because I am product of that. You should see this mess that I am in from the move. I'm still in it. And it's overwhelming, but take your time. It can all be done. It can all go very beautifully. Just take your time and it will all happen. So may you also feel the enthusiasm to beautify the home or the garden. That is awesome because that is part of our home and enlightenment. So get ready. Garden, get ready to paint. And do other repairs or good, maybe renovate. Something in your space, your private home, your private sanctuary. Your home is your castle. Your home is your castle. So there we have it. Good morning, Miss Janet. Yes, I didn't say good morning to everybody. Look, I even didn't do that. Can you tell I'm a little behind this morning? But it's okay because it all goes in its favor and everybody will get part of that. Good morning, everyone. And we are going to put a highlight to hashtag addictions. Okay. So we already discussed really about addictions thoroughly in the last one. And I get that. Everyone's like, why are we doing this again? Well, we have to do it again because addiction is, you have to break addictions down. And what I've learned with addictions is like PTSD. Sometimes our events and our traumas in our life, whether it be in this lifetime or past lifetimes, starts a stacking pattern, right? So we start stacking these, and next thing you know, this stack is up here and we're underwater. So it's so important to understand where people are using the addictions. When we use these addictions, we use them in a way where in the metaphysical, we have our chakras and we have our mind power centers. So what a lot of times with addictions, they'll only handle the physical attributes, or of course, they'll put you on medicine. Well, both of those things kind of go backwards for us. Why? Because, wow, can you tell my light is playing disco bulb on me? We're just going to turn this light away. It's blinking. It's having all kind of issues this morning. So we're going to let him have its day in the corner so we're not in the blink case. So moving on. So addiction, it's the chronic condition. If we're gonna do the term again, it is the chronic condition in which a person compulsively seeks and uses a substance or engages in a behavior despite harmful consequences. driven by changes in the brain's reward, motivation, and self-control systems. You hear a lot of people, military, when they sing their songs or they have a memory, and this is a military channel, so I want to target that first. When we have PTSD, or we have an addiction, right? PTSD causes a turbulence of replaying a memory over and over again, the trauma over and over again. It makes us go through it until it is settled. Now, if that trauma is a stacked trauma from inner child or from a past life that you brought with you, then we call it the stacked. It's a stacked therapy. When stacked therapy comes in, that means that we really have to go a little back. We have to figure out, why are you believing that? So, how, as a mentor and a life coach and a spiritual coach, we do this is we start breaking down the small things. We start breaking down things that may or may not cause an attribute that you foresee in this lifetime, right? So when we talk about in an essence of, the person really is not broken, the system is out of alignment. So when we look at our chakra patterns, there's actually 144, probably more by now, that people are becoming so energetically vibration in a higher realm. They'll probably end up saying, oh no, there's more, just like the fossils when we find it was, well, we never knew about this. So we have to change the way man thinks. So every time that we find something, we're changing the pattern of how we think. We don't argue about it. We don't make it so that it's a left and a right thing. No, it just is. When we learn what is, then we don't have to have the emotional garbage or the clutter in our head when we figure out what is. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So again, we're not broken. The system is just out of alignment for us, and we need to figure out who we need to seek out to find the help to realign us, right? We can go to a psychologist, but if psychologist is not physical and metaphysical taught, sometimes that imbalance of that stacking is not going to be resolved. It's going to be resolved in the medical professional way, or the Western medicine way, which is, you got it, more drugs, more big pharma, more this. Well, let's talk about what big pharma is now doing to you. Big pharma is a chemical of the brain that searches, but its parameters over its spectrums of big pharma. Where's it hitting you in that brain? Now is it triggering another receptor, another cell, another connection of the mitochondria, another section of the amygdala, another section of the cognitive theory? I mean, it goes on and on and on and on, right? Because, let's just call a spade. They made Viagra for the heart. Is it done for the heart anymore? No. So we have to be cautious of man-made things, right? Because purpose is one thing, but what it actually does is another. Yes. And it is not a negative. I want everybody to realize it is not a negative. It is an understanding of what is. Okay. And when we become aware of man's creations of what is, then we have a turning point in our own minds, especially for traumas, and especially now for the addictions to numb those traumas. And that's basically what we learned in our very first episode of the addiction part 1, right? It's aligning. It's creating out of the mist. It's creating out of the turbulence. It's creating out of the trauma. It's creating all of the sensors so that we can figure out the truths that are stemming the stacks or are allowing this addiction. We talked really briefly last time about our soldiers with the addiction, right? Or our first responders with the addictions, right? You do not have to be a soldier or a first responder to put yourself first and have it be a service to others. Let me say that again. You do not have to be a military person or a first responder to be a person who is service to others. There's lots. There's doctors. There's nurses. There's pastorals, right? They're teachers. These are service to others. They're trying to assist in education. They're trying to assist in making people move forward. So as addictions go through, there was a study a long time ago. I think they need to do it again, but a long time ago. And they asked, is addictions genetics? And I think that's kind of where we stopped last time about the genetics, right? And we were using the genetics to understand how our ancestors, and we correlate the physical to the metaphysical. So yes, there is that well-established truth that genetics play a role in addiction. However, genetics are not destiny. You can sever those ties. You can sever that genetical pattern. You can. There's a lot of people that I know of that they didn't have quite a good family growing up, right? They were either scraping by and they wanted more and they didn't know how to get more because the families didn't have the money or the credits to get the kids in college. So what did they do? They actually enlist to get their education through the military. There are some people who were so highly gifted and intelligent, even though the family might have been poverty, that it didn't matter to them anyway because they just soared and kept getting scholarships upon scholarships. So it's not a destiny. It's not. It is the way you perceive it and the way you look at it and the understanding going, oh, so this is already within my realm. I don't want it in my realm. I want it out of my realm. So we remove it from our realm. So yeah, there is a genetic play, but don't, please, if you are watching this and you have friends or family or yourself have addictions, whether if it's gambling, alcohol, drugs, medications, binge watching, TV is another addiction. Why do we binge? Right? That's another one that we have to come up with. Internet, social media, sex. I mean, gambling. There's so many addictions that we form, and it's an isolation. You have it because you are isolating something you do not want to deal with. You don't want to handle it. And if that is you and you are listening, reach out. Please, here, I'm going to put the banner. Reach out. I forgot to put that banner up the last time. I want you to all reach out. Here, this one. There you go. Putting into perspective. Questions or answers, please. Right there. TWOCPT, TWOCPT at mbradio.us. That is the email that can come straight to me. And that way you don't have to put it up if you don't want to put it up in your comments. You don't have to do any of that. You just kind of write, said, MJ, this is where I'm at. Can you give me, an angle to go with? And yes, we can do it together. So don't ever feel like you're left out because there's always somebody. There's always, even if you're not military, just reach out. We can talk about who's in your area and how to find that help or vice versa. If you're more comfortable with talking with me on the subject, and then we can dig and we'll find it. I promise we'll always find it. So genetics always play that 40 to 60. That's a big, remember we talked about this, huge range on genetics, 40 to 60. That's 20%. Like who gives those averages? I would say it's a 50-50, right? 40 to 60, put in the middle, it's a 50-50 that a person's vulnerability to addictions can be influenced by genetics. Why? Because if your influence of genetics, and let's just say your two parents, they're really not addictors. They might have parents who are. So the child now sees a parent and they really don't indulge in the alcohol or they don't indulge in all these other addiction patterns, but yet the grandparents of the parents do. So now you can see that the job of minimizing that influence is coming. A child's who your child is a reflection and a mirror of you. So if there's something within the child, it learned it through its upbringing somewhere, somehow. That is not to say go back and blame your parents. That is not to say, blame, your spouse because they taught them that, right? So it's funny because you hear it in family. Oh my God, she's so her dad. Oh my God, she's so her mom. Okay, and what? Well, that was a learned trait. So instead of being repulsed or reputed by it, why don't you just come out and say, I understand where you got this. Maybe we can work on it together at bridging something different. I'm very sorry that happened within your childhood. If you see it and you want to say it, then do something about it. I see my own children. My children are now in their 30s. I see things that I can say, they got that from me. So I go back and I tell them, I apologize for teaching you this. And as I grew, I changed my way. I changed it, right? It didn't serve the best purpose. Maybe it was in the age that you were, and I needed to be that ugly or that strong at the moment. Maybe. Nobody ever needs to be ugly and strong and authoritative. And I was very much that person. And it did nothing for me but make me have doors slammed and bigger walls built. So when I see these attributes, then I go back to my own children. Find the courage within to say you're sorry. Find the courage within to say that was on me, right? Let's change this pattern. But for a parent to come back and look at a child in their adulthood and say, oh my God, you're your dad. Well, guess what? You did that. So stop putting that on the adult child or the grandkids, right? Because you created it. Now, yes, we do have free will. Every single one of us have free will. But our principles are learned between birth, and they say 5, and now they're saying up to 7. 0 through 7. You have taught your kids all they need to know in life. So if you were a parent of these small children who you couldn't afford, you're angry because you didn't want to be pregnant, or you're going to just freaking do whatever you're going to do and not take responsibility for your kids, and you're going to just wander around, like there's a lot, that's on you. Kind of like dog training, right? But what you're doing is you're causing the addictions forming of negative repressed feeling. So stop it. Stop it. Get help. Call somebody, because all you're doing is proving to the child how to numb the pain. That's not good. That's not good. So let's get down and deep, because that's all like we were just reiterating kind of the messages of the first one. The first one went deep, and I know that sometimes I've already heard people saying, MJ, I've had to listen in a couple of times. I go, I know. There was so much information I even went over. But just be patient with it. Keep listening. Keep getting the aha moments for clarity, because it's in those aha moments is when we are more visually ready to understand. Does that make sense? Okay. So here we go. We are now, what genetics do not do before we go. Genetics do not guarantee addiction. Genetics, they do not override free will or awareness. They do not act independently of environment, trauma, or choice. Genes require activation through experience. Get it? We were just talking about it. Watching our parents, but watching the grandparents. See how this aligns, right? So when we get into our gene environmental interactions, addictions emerge most often when genetic vulnerability meets. Early trauma or chronic stress, emotional neglect, or attachment disruption. substance availability or culture normalcy, lack of coping skills or safe regarded. There are some psychologists out there in the turn of the century in the 50s and 60s where women were being liberated and able to go to work. What happened to our kids? That's right. Somebody else was teaching your kids because it was more important for you to create and make money to live at the time than it was for you to understand the balance of the psyche of your child. So now for the women who need to go to work, instead of staying at home and being the homemaker and the caregiver for these children, understanding the concepts of what it is that you want, now we have these children that are being spawned into daycares, into nannies, into babysitters, into family or relatives coming in, whatever their dispositions of addictions were. You see where this is going? So now the child has more than just the mom and dad as its awareness of growing up, and that's norm. Now we have all these other things. We have our own family in stages, right? Our own friends, people we hire. So now these are all conditioning this child. Are we leaving it? I mean, you have your friends. Here's another scenario. You have your friends. You already know your friend's a smoker and a drinker. You already know this, but yeah, you leave your child with them. Now, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think because they have your child and they're not, even if they were family, you really think they're going to take a minute from their drinking and their smoking just to watch your child from 8 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night? That's a long day to be with your child. And I understand. Well, what am I supposed to do? Listen. These are choices. These are lessons. These are vulnerabilities of what we went through, of why we had to. If you look at ancient times, the child was put on the mother's back. In fact, in still some third world countries, the child's still put on the mother's back, and they're in the cornfields, or they're in the rice fields, or they're picking vegetables, or they're attaining water. I could go to Guatemala and show you. I could go to Ecuador and show you. I could go to Peru and show you these. They're still done that way. They learn as they grow. When it's time for them to go to school, then that is when they start learning the other things, socialization skills and stuff like that in school. But that doesn't mean that you leave them in school from 7 o'clock in the morning until 6 or 7 o'clock at night. No. So when I see that, or I see people who leave them in daycare, and then all of a sudden that daycare runs to the last minute of 6 o'clock, and then the parent decides they're going to pick them up at 6 o'clock only to bring them home to say, you better have done your homework. Not that you or assistants are doing homework. See, these things all come in. They all compile. They all load up on that child, who then becomes pressured, becomes depressed, who then ends up being a nervous Nelly, or a pleaser. These are these types of people now that you watch them, and they're full of anxiety. They're full of stress. They don't know if they're supposed to react the way the teacher wanted or react the way the parents wanted or the grandparents. They're a mess. You can see where addiction starts. You can actually step back and go, balance. It's supposed to be about balance. Everything in life, not just you. I was a workaholic. I took my kids to work a lot because I was a workaholic. I was a single parent. It was tough. I see my children independent, but I also see them not relevating in an aspect of family unit, right? The family unit was a little bit rough. So when I say it now, I help with whatever their smoking or their drinking addiction or whatever their addiction might be. I sit and I try to explain unity, come together, find that togetherness within the family household. Especially think about how much you're working. Are you getting paid to work all that overtime? Oh, I'm on salary. Are you paid to do all that? Even though you're salary, there's limitations. That was a Capricorn. That was the mind of the Capricorn here, right? I didn't know those limitations. I was a workaholic. My children are now workaholics. They work. See? All in perspective. So, genes, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a researcher. But when somebody gives me a researching odd that is from a 20-point lead, I'm just going to take 40% and going to move on. So that's where we're at. So I really want to go into why I had this here. And oh my gosh, we're already at 30 minutes. Wow. See how time flies? So we're going to come back and we're going to dig into the spiritual and holistical perspectives. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a little bit of break, and we got some Quacker Beaker fun for you. You should see these little intakes and outtakes. They're super cute of these little cute ducks. So this is the calmest waters are always after the storm. We'll be right back. You're listening to MJ right here at the World of Conscious Positivity on the Military Broadcast Radio Station, where veterans always have a voice.
Even ducks know the calmest waters come after the storm.
Whenever things get rough or it feels like you're at the edge, remember this: storms pass.
Tough times don't last, but tough people do.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard, MBR Talk.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Okay, quick little ones. We have all these little cute little Beaker commercials. They're all under like 30 seconds. So we have lots of time to get through some of these things today. So enjoy Beaker to his fullest, and good luck to you today, Beaker and Joel at Disney. Knock them dead, baby. Knock them dead. So let's go into spiritual and holistic perceptives. From a biopsycho-social spiritual lens. A biopsycho-social spiritual lens. Remember, we talked about this. That's a big old word, and we already developed it and broke it down in the first part one. It is genetics load the gun. The environment pulls the trigger, and awareness and healing put the safety back on. That is so cool. Genetics load the gun. The environment pulls your trigger, but your awareness and healing put that safety lock right back on. Addiction often reflects the inherited nervous system patterns, not inherited failure. So that key takeaway is genetics influence vulnerability, not inevitability. Addiction is shaped by biology interacting with life experience, and healing can reshape both. All right. So we're going to make a clear comparison of genetics versus traumas and myths about addiction. Okay. So I think we went through some of these myths. Addiction is genetic, so nothing can be done. We're going to reframe it by saying genetics shape sensitivity. They do not determine destiny. Myth 2, if it's genetic, trauma doesn't matter. We talked about these. Reframing, genes load the blueprint, trauma presses the activation switch. Myth 3, addiction is caused only by trauma. Reframe this. Trauma explains why relief is sought. Biology explains how strongly it's reinforced. Myth 4. If someone had a good childhood addiction, makes no sense. Reframing it. Trauma is about the nervous system overwhelm, not event severity. If they only see one event, it could be trauma for them, especially if they were involved and got hurt or emotionally attacked. I understand it. But if it's only one event and it's not a regular occurrence, then we explain to the child or the person, this is what happens when we are not healed. Thankfully, we are healed and we don't ever have to live this. So we say things like this. Doesn't mean that just because you have a great childhood, that trauma doesn't form an effect in that person's mental psyche as they grow, right? Myth 5, you inherit addiction itself. Reframing. What's inherited is the nervous system pattern, not the coping mechanisms or strategy. That is on you. Number 6, healing trauma alone cures addiction. Reframing. Trauma work opens the door. Integration keeps it open. 7, relapse proves genetics 1. Reframing this. A relapse is information, not a verdict. Get it? Don't allow man as a rule for genetics versus trauma. It doesn't work, right? So addiction is not caused by genes or trauma alone. It emerges where biological sensitivity meets the unprocessed experience. All right. So, yes, it is entirely plausible and strongly supported by research and clinical observation to believe that a child raised in a family where addictive behaviors are normalized has a significant higher risk of developing addiction-related issues. This risk arises even without conscious intent by the parents. I'm going to show you why. Why family condition matters so deeply. Early brain and nervous system imprinting. You're shaping the child. You're imprinting the child. From birth through adolescence, the child's brain is shaped by modeling and repetition. Behavioral modeling, social learned theories, right? Children do not learn primarily through instruction. So drinking, smoking, gambling, partying are all perceived as normal adult behavior. If you're an adult and doing it in front of the child and you're telling the child you're not allowed because they're not 21 or they're not 18, well, what do you think is going to happen by the time they turn 18 or 21? The significant increases likelihood of the replication. See one, do one. Hear one, speak one. Right? Number 3, attachment emotional regulation. In homes where addiction is present, addiction later becomes a regulation strategy, not rebellion. That's the attachment and emotional regulation in homes where addiction is present. That addiction later then becomes a regulation strategy, not rebellion. How many times have you heard they're functional alcoholics? Right? You have a friend who every day has to have alcohol. Every day. Is that a condition of their upbringing, like we talked about in the islands? We talked about where water is just not essential. So fermentation, the Roman times, the Egyptian times, medieval times, it was always about wines, taking the fruit and preserving them, or making them into a different beverage so that they were able to drink it without having giardia or some other ursa or whatever in their stomach. Giardias, the water's bad. Who wants that, right? Okay. Trauma does not require abuse. Even without over abuse, chronic exposure to substance forced environments, unpredictability of emotional inconsistencies, and then you have the parentified rules or the emotional neglect, right? That the rules of the parent aren't there. It was an unwanted child. They had no support system. And these are all traumas that can create developmental traumas, which then increase that additional risk. Genetics and epidemic layers. It is nature and nurture reinforcing each other. Genetic vulnerability may already be present because it's the nature of the nurture enforcing that. Okay. Nuances. So important nuances. This does not mean every child from every family will develop addiction, that parents are initially harming their children, or addiction is inevitable or irreversible. So if you're an adult and have an addiction and you're blaming your parents, you need to really dig in deep. I can understand the isolation of how you found the point of the trigger to make you numb. That's what they showed you. But why you are numb, that's not what they showed you. So we got to revert that. So protective factors, secure attachment with another adult, awareness, spiritual grounding, therapies, resilience, realigning those traits, all right, can interrupt that cycle if that's the importance of that balance. Okay, let's get into what this show is. The metaphysical. It took me 40 minutes to get there, but here we are. Are all addictions, somebody asked me, are all addictions from the same chakra center? No. The short answer is no. No. All addictions do not come from the same chakra center. Some of them have overlapping chakra centers, but they're often clustered around a few core chakras, depending on what the addiction is. So we're going to break down all these addictions and all these chakras. So maybe if somebody you know or yourself has an addiction to gambling or sex or alcohol or cigarettes or drugs or whatever, internet, socialism, maybe you can find that isolating that chakra is going to make it aware of what does that chakra actually do? What does it hold? How is it working? You know, I always tell people, take chakra classes and make sure of who you're taking them with, because that chakra class can be a small little class and talk to you about an angel of that chakra or whatever, or there's some really in depth that really take you deep. They'll take you deep inside. I love those. I love to do guided meditations journey into those chakra patterns because it visually shows you as your child or past life where the trauma exists. And then we go through is if you have a hyper or a hypo, you know, if you have an excessive amount, you know, or you have a decreased amount, why some of these happen. I implore you, one of my favored to teach that one is Belisa. She just moved back to the United States. She was in Mexico and she moved. And then of course I have Miss Kim, who is in New Jersey. Both of those masters, I have taken both of their courses. Incredible. One denomination is no denomination. It is very eclectic. It is Reiki. And the other one is eclectic, not only with Reiki, but more shaman, more native energy. So it's such a beautiful balance to watch how they both come back in and see. So as an energetic perspective, addiction reflects where life forces is blocked. It's overcompensating or seeking relief. That is basically what we're doing here. And we're going to go and we're going to start with the primary chakra centers. There's 7. Okay. It is the root, the sacral, the solar plex, the heart, the throat, the third eye, the crown, right? If you believe in Hara, you have 3 Haras. You have the ground, you have earth itself, you have soul, and then you have the highest of divine energy, right? So all of these, yes. The answer is yes to all of these significance of metaphysical consciousness, including our mind power portal centers, which are not so much metaphysical as much as they are a physical trait of body power mind centers that we have within our beautiful energetic nervous system of our bodies. So let's get to it. Our root. Our root center is our basically our groin area, right? The lower groin area. It is about safety and survival. It is very common foundation, right? Very common is fear, insecurity, instability. Addiction is a way to feel grounded, safe, and soothed. Often present in generational addiction, poverty stress, and early instability. If any of these foundations as a child you went through, you probably most likely have a root chakra safety and survival trauma. The common expressions for this type of trauma, you will find alcoholism, food scarcities, people who just indulge in food, nicotine, hoarding, workaholics. The core wound, I am not safe. That is root chakra that involves an addiction alignment. Again, in your root chakra, the common for that is fear, insecurity, instability. Addiction as a way of feeling the ground, safe and soothed, often presented in generational addiction, poverty, stress, and early instability. That's a big one. Your root system is a big one for a lot. And that system is rooted due to that inner child trauma, how the child grew, how that child is analyzed, how that child can perform today. That's a big one. The root is, I am allowed to be. I am allowed to be here. You have the right and you have the will. The will is a mind power center. Your faith must come first. You must indulge in that faith center to actually assist in this root. You have faith that it's going to clear. This is the time for positive affirmations. This is the time to seek positive affirmation help and motivational for the affirmation. Okay, now we go into the sacral. Our sacral chakra, it is our womb area. It is the uterus. It is the bladder. It is the functions of everything in our womb. Men, you have a womb. Whether or not you can give birth, you have what they call the void of womb, but the womb is still present in chakra theory. So the sacral chakra is pleasure and emotion. Extremely common. Emotional suppression or overwhelming. Addiction replaces healthy pleasures, intimacy, and creativity. If you have somebody who is addicted, a sex addictor in your life, it no longer becomes pleasurable for the other person that you are with. It no longer becomes an intimacy. It becomes a job. It becomes a forced will, and nobody's going to benefit here. Why? Because the person who has a sex addiction, whether in this lifetime that they have it or they brought it with them, you're making the other person feel insignificant. You're making the other person feel like they are paid for. Just because you're married doesn't mean you constantly, that person has to give in to sex. There is still rape inside of families that have sex addiction issues. The person who has sex addiction issues, who has to have sex all the time, this is another one. This is a problem. Why is it a problem? Most people would say, why is that a problem, MJ? Well, because if you're a sex addiction, you have the pleasures of understanding what that oxytocin level does to your body, which could in fact lead you to wanting more, knowing that oxytocin, like Hare Krishna, is all that is. Here's the issue. It is also sought that there's no safety line. There's just an abuse line to the other person. Now, the sex addictor who the other person's like, I'm thinking that you don't need sex 4 hours later again because we already had it twice. What is the matter with you? And now all of a sudden, the person who's a sex addiction gets offended. They get pissed off, right? They get emotional distraught. Why? And then they go, then they chat, right? Oh, my wife. Or is it my husband or my husband? there are women who have sex addiction problems. They are addicted to it. It's not all love, peace, and gravity with these sex addictors. It is not. And I don't even think they're aware of it, because they'll say, I'm not addicted, I just like it. You like it, so then if your partner says, I'm not in the mood, what does that person do? Why? What's the matter with me? How come you don't want to have it with me? That's an awareness. Start thinking about your behavioral methods with your partner. Are you aligned and balanced? Are you pushing over the edge? Is it no longer creative? Is it no longer soul intimacy? Is it no longer? I can only tell you that having sexual intercourses so much, there is a feeling that goes away. If you have a little bit of abstinence, that feeling is better. That is what I think is average, right? That average. But it's really hard, especially as bodies mature, right? That sex addictor, as it ages, the other partner might not be with you with it. Get help. Or at least understand what it is. Find it. And compensate for it. Balance it and alignment. Right? How many people do you know? Here's a good one. How many people do you know between the ages of 40 and 55 go through sexual relationship issues in their marriage? Or in their togetherness, if they're not married, just long-term partnerships. That's a rough age bracket. Menopausal is a reason. You know, other systems of the body start, and then the fear. Oh my God, what if I can't have sex no more? Okay. You plan to have kids? There's a lot of different ways to go around releasing oxytocin levels. But for these people, they're emotionally suppressed and overwhelmed. These are extremely common. The addiction replaces healthy pleasures. Trauma, shame, boundary, violations often live in this sector, violating another womb. Common expression: sex, substance, shopping, binge behaviors. Your core wound. It is not safe to feel. This is a big one for a lot of people. Okay, so if you have a sex addiction, a substance addiction, a shopping addiction, or a binge behavior, let's start looking at that chakra, that sacral chakra, because that's our pleasure and emotional center. It's exactly where it lies. You are allowed to speak. Number 3, your solar plexus. Your solar plexus. Your solar plexus are your power and your identity. They're often overlooked as control issues, shame, self-worth, and struggling. Addiction becomes a way to feel powerful, confident, or in control. But when you have an addiction, are you really in control? Right? This is the overlook. Perfectionism and people pleasing often coexist. Your common expressions for our solar plexus. These are the people who start having the addiction to gambling, stimulants to keep them awake, work addictors, finding that thing to keep you moving forward, and control behaviors. Your core wound is, I am no longer enough. I am not enough. Either one of these. I am not enough. And when your solar plexus decide to tell you that you are not enough, you are going to start gambling. You're going to start with stimulant drugs. You're going to be that workaholic, and your philosophy is going to be, I'm busy. I'm sorry, I have to work. I'm sorry, I have to go. How many people do you know in your family that they are that? I have to work. I have to work. I'm sorry, I have to work. No PTO days to give yourself pleasure, to give yourself enlightenment, to give yourself a break. That's scary. We got to play another duck. Man, time's flying by. So we're going to go and we're going to play another one. This is the pickleball reset. We'll be right back.
Every setback is just a setup for a comeback. Keep quacking forward. 90% of what we worry about in future never happens. Whenever things get rough or it feels like you're at the edge, remember this. Storms pass.
Tough time.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
All right, we're back. We're back. Short little breaks. We're going through StreamYard changing here, and we're going through a lot of different changes here at MBR. So we're going to have a little duck fun with Beaker coming through. Okay, so solar plexus. These are your people who want to get stuff done, who probably doesn't have the support around them, and they're always feeling like they're always struggling. Their self-worth is struggling. They don't have control over people helping them. The shame, the worth. This is happening. I'm going to tell you where it's happening. This is happening in a lot of your mom and pop entrepreneurs. Your mom and pops shop small entrepreneurs, they go through this struggle. This is a major, major struggle with solar plexus, because think of it. If you want to have a business and you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to be your own boss, you're going to be spending a lot of hours that you're not going to have for your family. It's rough. It's rough on the children. It's rough on you. It's rough on your family members. And here we go. We go right back into the cycle of others watching our children, others helping with our children, or you struggling between what you need to do to get ahead in life because of money and making sure that you have a survival because your children need food and you need to pay your rent and your mortgage, and into a child's emotional stability, right? It's a rough run. I love it when I hear it's family business. Right? That was me. Family business. It's family business. Well, you better look. Is that family business ripping you guys apart as a family? Family business? Is it always taking a hold of something that you have to do and you have to say no because I have to do it? It's a family business? Is it pushing some of the family out of family business and moving away? Is it generational where now the family business is now handed down to another family business because that's all they know how to do? Did you go to school? They just went to the family business? Pretty sad, because not everything lasts. Things change in life. They happen, they change. Find the courage to say, I understand, but that was your dream. That's not my dream, right? My ex-husband and myself both have businesses. We are both this. We are both this entrepreneur. We are both this hard-pressed Capricorn, workaholic. We fell into this trap with our children. I OJT'd my youngest one, and the other one was OJT'd to her father. Though the youngest one did graduate schools, the oldest one didn't. The oldest one almost feels like she's trapped to the family. Right? It's not a good thing to feel that way. It's not a good thing to have the pressure. When COVID hit, there was no certainties of any of my companies or my businesses. At the time, I literally pushed my daughter out the door. She was scared, and I was there ready to help pick her up and support her. And my words were, my house is always open. But there's no way anybody can foresee what will now happen, because there's too much free will involved with other people who are creating the atmosphere for these businesses, right? Money, suppression, illness. I can name a whole bunch of things. Look at your own lives. Are you part of the family business? What part of the family business that you didn't want, but you got shoved in it because whoever held the family business is holding that authoritativeness over you. It's over your head. It's way holding on to you. And that's trauma. That's an addiction of trauma, because you're going to make them then feel like they can't. They can't. There's no self-worth. There's struggles. There's shame. There's disappointment. There's resentment, right? I can't. No, I have to freaking work. Well, we all have to freaking work. However, is it enough already? Why do I have to be the family unit when I'm my own person? I don't even like it. Get her pressure into, I know what's better. So many ways into it. So many beautiful ways. And I need to try to get that help. Don't be pressured in family business. Family just means I want you to be a part of what we're creating. And I understand that. You know, I understand you want me to be. But did you consider what I wanted? Have you considered that? Or are you just being pressured by the family going, it's a family business? Okay, I can tell you there's some of my masters out there who will say, you're disrupting the flow. Am I disrupting the flow? Am I? If I don't want to do something, or I want to do something else, and somebody goes, you're not thinking of the family business, and that's all they can think about? I feel sad. Even for my own daughters, I felt sad. I felt putting a burden on them. I felt like that's what I did. They don't have to like what I like. They don't have to do what I do. The world is theirs. When you graduate, what do you say? The world is yours. Up, family business. Come back here. What are you actually doing? You have some children who are very strong and are like, this is what I want to do. I want to be part of the family business. That is awesome. I welcome you with the new dimensions of advertising that you went to school for, or marketing, just in case the family business doesn't exist. Maybe another competitor out there with their family business is going to overpower that family business. Who knows? But this is why there is addictions in our solar plexus with family addictions, and in our sacral of family addictions. Control issues, right? Control issues leading to shame and self-worth struggles, because almost all of us want to make our parents happy. Almost all of us at that age want the atta girls, atta boy, right? So this becomes very, very, very troubling. Power and identity. It is a power and identity struggle, because we don't want anybody angry. We don't want anybody upset, but yet they're taking your free will of what it is that you want to do. When I see these children have the courage, no matter how old they are, to walk away and explore their life, I want everybody in the world to give those children a standing ovation. I truly do, because the pressure in the solar plexus on these children, and they're my age children, to continue to do something that the family wants. Look at farmers. That's another one. Farmers who have these beautiful farms, and the kids today see the struggle with the government and the supplies and all this. Why would you want to subject them to that farming? Don't do that to them. Allow them their free choice, like they say at every graduation speech. The world is yours, except for you and you. I'm sorry, your family. Family. Does your family look at it? Does your family really see that you're giving up your will? Think about it. Don't argue about it. Think about what I'm saying. Please. How important is it I hear people, it's going to cause a disruption. It could cause a divorce. If that is going to cause a divorce, you need to really look deep and why. You only have one life this time around, right now. And sometimes you letting go of what no longer serves the highest purpose for you has to happen. The courage, the amplitudes, the letting go. I find I walked away from myself being this entrepreneur business person. My whole life I created businesses. I was a business developer, went to school, business developing after the military. And I targeted fishing and hunting. But yet I still had my own. I was my own travel agent, and I was my own, my own establishment. And then we kept building, and I had more buildings, and I kept building all these businesses, bringing in my children because, of course, they need jobs and money, and here's a great opportunity. I don't know if I could ever say that I had the intention of building in my mind for them to take over. It was always, I'm building, and if you want to take it when I'm retiring, I would be blessed. I can remember saying that. I can also, like I told you a little bit ago, I can also know that when there was too much danger at risk with monies and other people's lives, I let my children go and let them be. I didn't want to. It was more like I forced them out, but I had to, for their own good, for their own safety, because there was so much unknowing. And that's where it's at. When you have a visual unknowing. And my children worked way too much when I was in those businesses, and they had to deal with a lot. And so now that my eyes are wide open, I'm now trying to heal that. And it is healable, right? On both physical and metaphysical. I encourage my children, go seek somebody for advice. Go seek somebody to try to build it in line, because I'm part of that. And I didn't want to. I didn't want to be part of a mental stress, an anxiety-ridden, stressful, oh, I have to be on time. I have to make it. I have to open. I have to do this. That's stressful. Yeah, you're given parameters. Yeah, you can break it down any other way you want to break it down. But the bottom line is that addiction side of the brain. You're worried about genetics of a family? This is a huge one. This is a big one. Causing gambling, causing stimulants, causing work addictions, causing control and mental behaviors. Huge. Family. I was there. So think about it. Sit back and think about your family businesses and how much you rely on your family for your family business that you wanted, maybe not the rest of the family, because that's not fair. It's not fair. Number 4, we're going to move on to the heart, because that now affects your heart. Giving up everything because your family is forcing you. It's a family business, forcing you. Now your heart hurts. Now let's move to the heart chakra, right? The heart chakra is love and connection. I love my family. Love and connection. Present when addiction masks grief. This is loss. This is abandonment. This is betrayal. This is unresolved sorrow. Addiction fills a void of connection or numbs heartbreak. A loss of a family member. We are a patriarch who demanded family business, who that's what they wanted in life and they had it. And now all of a sudden they want to give it down, but the person doesn't want it. Heartbreak. It all connects. All of this connects. You can have a loss of a pet, a loss of a mother, a father, a brother, a sister, an aunt, uncle, friend, who is more than a friend. It was your chosen soul sister or soul brother that you chose to be in that alignment with. It is a void. And that heart is just sadding. Most of us think because we were taught to think by this big thing on top of our shoulders, right? But when we start thinking through our heart chakra with the 12 petals that open up, man, it's a game changer, man. It's a big game changer. You almost feel like when you learn it and you become aware of it, you're like, woo, we don't write things such as, I'm not feeling so good today. I'm feeling sorry about myself today. I need some prayers. I need some energy. And you constantly are writing this verbiage, constantly. Find some help. You need help. You're very numb and you're putting it out, and we need to have help. Why? Because you want the world to know you're in agony. You want the world to know that you're in pain. You want the world. This is social media and internet. This is another addiction. Finding outside sources to make you feel good. These are addictions. Your common expressions, relationship addiction, substance tied to bonding. Your core wound. I'm alone and I'm unlovable. That's the core wound. You do not love yourself. There are so many people I listen or I watch or I hear them. And when I look at them and I say, why don't you love yourself? They act shocked or they start crying. That's hard. It's hard. I understand it's emotional. But if you don't get over the hurdle of emotion, you're not going to heal. Healing and having emotion doesn't mean you're dead. It doesn't mean somebody killed you. It means that it's no longer warranted in your body. That boundary has to be made. Rip it off like a Band-Aid. Find what's hurting you, because the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go through all these relationships, or you're going to have so much substance abusing and just to feel numb. Now, who's killing who? Now you're killing yourself with substance. You're killing yourself with addiction. You're killing yourself. So truly your heart chakra, when you have loving connection of the heart chakra and it presents addiction, mass grief, you're actually killing yourself. You don't need help. You're killing yourself by doing it. Does that make sense? So instead of killing yourself, go through a little emotional pain. Not going to kill you. Hasn't killed anybody. My expression, did you die? No, I understand I'm rough. I do. People go, MJ, you're rough. I get it. This is me going from a totalitarian, authoritative, strong workaholic ethic background to this. Maybe I speak rough sometimes because I am trying to influence you to see the pattern. Is that wrong? It is wrong. I am thwarting somebody's will, but it's not because I want evil or I want unnecessary judgment. I want to see them happy. I want to see them flourish. I want to see them. And if I speak a little louder at some points, it's like, did you hear me? Did you blank me out? Did you hear what I said? Every experience I teach on this station and in my field, it's because I have already experienced it. I've already journalized it. I've already healed it. And I'll talk about it, because if the other person gets angry, that seeds on them, not on me. Because I already healed myself. And I'm thankful that I had the masteries to heal myself. It's long. I told you, I started at 28. I'm doing this over 30 years. It's a rough one, but it's okay. It's okay, because it's teaching me how to be more at peace. It's teaching me how to be more at balance. It's teaching me the awareness of, if it's striking a tone, then how am I going to answer this tone? It's also teaching me that lesson. Protect it. Open up those 12 petals. Let the anxieties, let the traumas, let everything out, so that we can hold on to our heart and just, oh my God, thank you. Thank you for creating the heart space that I loathe and now I want. I want it. I no longer loathe that trust of that person. I no longer loathe the inevitabilities of any negative. There's going to be negative. We all don't think alike. It's how you respond and how it really hits your core, right? I love when people want to argue about politics and they're arguing on a biased platform, or they're arguing on a platform that they heard on social media, or they can't even debate it. They just know. Why do you? I just heart chakra, right? These pieces all play addiction with love and connection. Yeah, I am alone. I am unloved. So the question to you then is, why don't you love yourself? Where is your self-love? You cannot love, and nobody can love you without self-love. So open up that heart chakra. There's 12 petals. When we see 6 or 7 of those being fully out and engorged in the world, you are at peace. You won't have an addiction. There's some parts of those petals that need to be done, but most of those petals are open. So God love you. You're doing the job. You're doing the work. And that is very, very good. And I'm very proud because that heart is very emotional. Very emotional. Okay, let's move on. We're going to do the upper chakras now. Okay, so our upper chakras is our throat, our third eye, and our crown. So there's less origin, but there's more impact in these. These are strong. These are high vibrations. To get into these, you become a higher vibrating person. You become a higher level of acknowledgement of the Akashics that you don't even understand how you know it. You become more aware. Now with the addiction process, if this isn't where you're at and you're trying to go into your throat chakra, your addictions are silencing your truth, your throat. You need to speak truth. You don't need to speak perspective or interpretation of somebody else. You need to speak the truth. Why you're saying it, why you feel it, and where you got the information. Again, the truth. Speaking your truth of the information of where you got it, how you got it to balance it. The truth. Your truths will always set you free. Those skeletons are truths. Take another Beaker break. We're going to climb the mountain with Beaker right now. Listen to MJ at the World of Conscious Positive Thinking right here on the mbradio.us channel. We'll be right back.
Dream big, start small, but most of all, start.
Whenever things get rough or it feels like you're at the edge, remember this: storms pass.
Tough times don't last, but tough people do.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.com.
Military Broadcast Radio. The station.
Oh, you didn't hear me. Sorry. Okay, so we were just talking about upper chakras. I forgot that thing doesn't come back. I know. I see everybody. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. I gotta turn my mic on. You're right. You're right. I'm so sorry. So, yes. So what happens? Upper chakras. So what we're going to talk about is the upper chakras, what we were talking about before a break, the throat, the third eye, the crown. None of these chakras, none of these upper chakras at all are affected. But addiction rarely originates there either. Addiction originates in your heart, in your solar plexus, your sacral, and your root. So let's just say there is a sacral issue. Well, sacral is tied to your throat. You're allowed to speak. So these words of truth, if I can't speak my truth because of consequences, this will be thwarted in my sacral. Does that make sense? Okay. So when you have the addiction that silences the truth, you want to silence all of that. You don't want to face the truth. We got to go deep into the sacral. Why don't you want that? And sometimes it's even in the solar plexus. It's so high, it comes up into the solar plexus. That's not good either, right? So this is how this connection now works. Or you have your third eye, right? Your third eye is a disassociation. It's fantasy. It's escapism, right? It's a confusion between intuitiveness and avoidance. Which one are we? Which one are we doing? Because not all of these are making sense. So now we're born into fantasy. Well, that comes into our solar plexus. Where's our journey in our solar plexus taking us? Is it in the past metaphysical? Is it in our inner child? Is it in our adolescence? Where are we fantasizing into? Where are we disassociating ourselves into? Where are we escaping ourselves into? Confusion between intuition and avoidance. We all have intuitiveness, right? Some people just say, I had a gut feeling, I have good gut instincts. Well, that gut instinct is called intuitiveness. So you're spiritual, even though you have all those gut instincts. Somebody goes, oh, I'm not spiritual. I just have a gut feeling. Okay. Whatever you want to call it, my friend, you call it, right? There's no pressure. But we all have it. We all have that, our first gut response. How many people have taken tests out there? And you have the answer, and for whatever reason, your ego wants to change it to something else. You're like, oh, I had that first. Right. It was your intuitiveness that told you that. It was relived. It's already been there. You already heard it. You've already know it. Your body is like, what are you doing changing the answer? But because there's a lesson to be learned. That's the bottom line. There's always a lesson to be learned for a conscious positive theory. Remember the show, religion, spirituality, consciousness, right? We have to start seeding somewhere. That seed grows into roots. Without a faith of God, we're not rooting into these levels. So can you now see how the third eye, daydreaming, fantasizing, disconnecting, it's kind of like you see somebody and you're talking to them and they are so focused outside of their shell, they're not responding. You look at them and they're not even blinking. They're not even consciously there. You're like, hello? Hey, can you hear me? Can you see me? Hello? And all of a sudden you're like, oh, hey, what's going on? Now, the person who's in that daydream, it's like this little mouse in the back of the brain squeaking. But you're like blinders on a horse. You're like, I hear them, but I am paralyzed. I hear them, but I cannot speak. I hear them, and you're not even blinking. And you're like, come out, respond, come out. So that movement of taking you away from the reality of, some people call it you're multi-dimensionalizing. You are removing yourself, right? You're removing yourself from the current situation. That happens in your third eye, right? Confusion between intuition and just plain avoidance, the situation, not being present. Your crown, this is the top one, your crown. This is the highest point. There are some fields ahead of it, but just for our main common 7, this is the highest point, our crown. Our crown, in addictions, it's spiritual bypassing. It's seeking transcendence without grounding first. So these people who are like, I just don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to kill myself, but I just don't want to be here anymore. And they're always aloof. They're always bypassing the spiritual side of things. They're always bypassing everything. And they're just seeking, transcendence. These are the people who you will find who are within the root chakra, the root chakra has all of the addictions. It has all of the takes of not being here. You're right to be. If you are ungrounding yourself and you are aloof, this is going to affect you big time. You must ground in. You must. All of these upper chakras are affected by the addiction of the lower originations of your chakras, your roots, your sacral, your solar plexus, and your heart. Once you can align these to your age, now I'm going to say it again, you can align these all the way up to your age present. Does not mean that as you go around that sun another time, or you travel many times around that sun, something's not going to come up. It's going to come up. Why? Because you are at an age, at a different level of experience, and a different level of education than when you were 7 years old. How are you going to now react at this level? You got the tools, you have them. How are we going to? Well, what did we just learn? Here we are at a different level of a different experience and a different trauma within this chakra. But MJ, we just cleared. I understand. You cleared at the age that you are. You didn't clear it for 60 and 70 or however old you're going to be. And you can't clear that because you're here to learn these lessons. If not, you wouldn't be here. You'd be flying with wings, baby boy and baby girl. You'd be flying with your wings. Does that make sense? So we have to learn in the procession of our aging, our experience, and our inherited knowledge as our Akashic life open as we do the work to balance. That's my take. Okay. Now, addiction is not about excess pleasures, right? The pleasures of enjoying that drink, the pleasures of enjoying sex, the pleasures of gambling and winning money. It's not really about, it is the blockage of life force seeking regulation. Not saying if you go out to a casino one night a year, that's not an addiction. So don't get this wrong. So that's the key insight of teaching addiction. Addiction is not about excess pleasure. It is about blocked life force seeking regulation, right? We must regulate everything in alignment. Not saying you can't have a beer after work. In fact, I know a lot of people who lived past 100 years old, at least 4 of them. And there's not that many. 4. I know 4 of them. And they will all tell you, and the favorite one, I had a pint of Budweiser every day. She lived to be 105. Her name was, anybody know? Anybody know my friend Ann? Ann Jordan, my beautiful friend Jake Jordan's mother, lived 105, and she proclaimed her longevities because every day she had a little pint of Budweiser. You know those little pony cans? She opened one every day of her life. And that was her longevity. Now, is that an addiction? I think it's more of a habit. I think it's more of a habitual. Do you see my lights flashing? I gotta pull this up. I'm like, woo, I'm bright. No, I'm not. So yeah, my beautiful friend lived her life every day knowing she had to drink a pint of beer. Some point of the day she had to drink it. Most of the time, I believe my friend Jake would tell me, yep, Every afternoon, every after lunch, she had a beer. And she took a nap. Yep, those little ones, those little cans. So, again, you're not blocking something that could lead to an addiction. It's not it. It's an excessiveness, right? So that's what you want to know. Yep, you can go to, take a bus trip and the bus is going to stop at a casino. Oh, I don't want to get addicted to casino. If it's a one-time thing, how are you going to be addicted to that? Now, I can understand that if you were a gambler and you had an addiction to gambling and you lost tons of thousands of dollars and you're gambling and you're constantly going down that rabbit hole, I can see why somebody would say, I don't think you should take this bus trip. Because if you're going to take the bus trip, it's just going to help you forcibly go back into there because you are lining. So what are you going to do? Sit in the bus the whole time? Everybody else is in the casino and the bus isn't going to take you anywhere? Well, you could possibly get an Uber. You could possibly get a taxi and say, oh, I'm just going to go to the theater and I'm going to watch a movie till you're done gambling. That's plausible. That's great intuitiveness. That's great foresight. That's great. I'm not going to, I'm not going to go with the hair of the dog that bit me. I'm not going to do it. That's awesome. And keep that up because that's where your mindset needs to be is, that could be really fun. I hope you all win, but that got me in a lot of trouble. Here again, I'm the gambler. I lived in Las Vegas, Nellis Air Force Base. Everybody wanted to come see me in Vegas. Everybody wanted to come because they wanted to go to the casinos. I was young, 19, 20, 21. I was young. I was like, oh yeah, it's free alcohol. It's free appetizers. Just sit there and all you have to do is gamble. Woo, do you see the excessiveness of addiction of food, the addiction of alcohol, the addiction of gambling? How we imprint the young mind, how we imprint the minds of people in establishments in order to get what they want. Imagine feeding somebody free drinks and spending exuberant amounts of money. And now it's not even dollars and coins. Now you have a card. Put your credit card in there. You see the problem? And here you have a business creating these problems. And somebody's going to be out there going, are they, MJ? Are they really creating the problems? They're just adding entertainment. You have an addiction, so you're the problem. It's a flip. However you perceive and look at something, it's a flip. I now look at casinos and gambling going, oh, that was exciting. It was fun. I had adrenaline rushes, but I also was the poorest airman alive and couldn't find food for 2 weeks because I spent it on an addiction of gambling. Thank God I was young and I learned how to just, be in the lunchroom in my radar going, oh my God, that looks so good. Did you make that? Can I have your recipe? Can I even taste it? You have it all. These were experiences that I had to live through to say, are we, it was to the point in Vegas to go to the grocery store and you had all your extra change in here. And you're like, come on, baby. They have machines. They had slot machines right there, grocery store. You go into the mall, right there at the mall. Come off the airport, right there at the airport. You are gambling from the time you hit touchdown. And they're there for you to be that big winner, right? Who doesn't want to be the big winner? Playing lottery. I did something this year I never did before. I bought everybody a lottery ticket. Was I encouraging a gambling addiction if they had it? Of course I was. But that was their prize, right? Because how many people play a game at whatever gatherings and you're like, oh, I just do not like the smell of that candle, but thank you for the gift. And now you're regifting it, right? Or it goes in a donation box, but someone had to pay for that. So no harm, no foul. You weren't expecting to give. So let's just try. And if you win, you win. But if you win and you're an addictor of gambling, what's that going to do? See, I don't think of things like this anymore. I have to be conscious of it. Consciousness. Positive conscious thinking. Find something or know the people who are coming. If you know the people who are coming, then that's a great thing. Are you have any addictions coming into this? And if you do, was it a good thing, MJ? Did you really know your people? And if you know them, did you choose to play in their field with them to make them happy? Who knows? Who knows? The awareness knows. The consciousness knows. So becoming aware of the players means that the field of opportunity has a benefit to be very peaceful, very balanced. Right? I'm just sitting here thinking, I had a party. I had fireworks, which is my addiction. I love fireworks. I'm addicted to watch fireworks. I love it. I had alcohol. So people who are maybe an addictor to alcohol or have addiction issues, I had alcohol. And then I had so much food that I'm having to give it away. So people who have food issues, scarcity issues, obesity issues, I was playing into their levels. I even went as far as putting games. Now I'm thinking about the games I chose. I was not an awareness, or was I? I was an awareness of maybe knowing this is something that this one likes, and this one likes, and this one likes, and this one likes, and this one likes. But I never thought consciously, how does all this play out behind the scenes on my favorite people in my home? How is it playing out for them? Am I encouraging them to continue an addiction? Am I encouraging, is an addiction for them? Like there, my ego now starts asking questions. And something that I just thought, oh, well, I know this one likes this, and this one likes this, and this. I went too light. And then you're like, but MJ, I mean, you could do that with everything in life. You're right. And you would go nuts. You would go crazy. The bottom line, as I'm sitting here, is I was encouraged to try to do something to keep happiness and peace and journey afloat. Maybe it was a good idea that in doing that, maybe it's plausible that I should have used I could have used a dowser and asked the questions. Is this a good idea to play today? And for everybody who is here, is this game okay? Is this drink okay? Is this okay? We all have habits. I know habits are not addictions. Habits can lead into addictions. But sometimes our habits are just who we are, right? I have somebody who comes in. I'm going to talk about my doctor. I love her. I absolutely love her. She came in. She pulled the curtain. She then washed her hands. She then straightened out the box. Then she shut the door. Then she twisted a little thing. And then she twisted her computer. She sat down. She wiped her desk. And then she put her thing. And she looked at me, knowing who I am. And she started laughing uncontrollably. And I love her for it. And she goes, yes, I'm OCD. Can you help me? I think your pattern of behavioral is because you had a learned lesson that not washing your hands is passing a germ, is not opening up the curtain was a problem to get your ear things and stuff out of the way. Having the door open is a hazard for somebody tripping or knocking their head behind there. So just shut. Like, I can understand her making sure everything is secured in the room. As a soldier, right? A person who looks ahead and looks at every possible scenario available to their mental existence, turning it around going, okay. So do we understand? Habits are addictions. Could be an OCD thing, but if it's an OCD thing to something that rendered an experience, it is not. An experience of having to do something and making sure that it's all in order, right? People who write lists, it's not an addiction, right? People go, oh my God, their lists are addicting. No, their addiction is not a cause of harm to anybody. Unless the person who is writing a list gets themselves completely upset because they don't get to it and they're a protagonist, then, if you protagonist something, if you keep something, and you just push it off, That's a problem, right? So love yourself. Take it easy, because we're all learning, including ourselves. So take it easy on scolding yourself too, because it's not good. Practical energetic takeaways here, right? Let's talk about those. Treating addiction is only one chakra misses the system, and treating addiction at only one chakra misses the whole system. You must align the system. Even though you have a root issue, right? We have to keep aligning. But that doesn't mean up here, if the crown comes out, well, we got to get that crown back over, right? We must align our systems. Healing requires grounding first. You have to ground in. What is below is above. We must ground in first. And then feeling within our sacral, we're allowed to feel whatever emotion it is. And then we have empower. We empower ourselves by our solar plexus. That's our power. That's our core. That is our breadbasket full of skeletons, full of harmony, full of beautiful bread, right? So that's empowerment. And then are we reconnecting into the heart space? So we have to reconnect inside of there. Does all this make sense now? We're going to take one more break. And then I'm going to go ahead and tell you if you have either a nicotine or a smoking habitual, these addictions, how we're going to reroute them in our last 15 minutes. So here we go. We're going to go to another little beaker. We're going to keep waddling, folks.
You're stronger than you know and braver than you feel. One waddle at a time.
Whenever things get rough or it feels like you're at the edge, remember this: storms pass.
Tough times don't last, but tough people do.
Small steps still get you to big places. Keep paddling.
Whenever things get rough or it feels like you're at the edge, remember this: storms pass.
Tough times don't last, but tough people do.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.net.
Okay, we're going to start mapping. So get that pencil and paper out. Here we go. We're going to do a clear practical mapping of specific addictions to specific chakra patterns. So here we go. Addiction mapping, alcohol. If you know somebody who is addicted to alcohol, your primary chakras are root, sacral, and heart. Root, sacral, heart. They're your primary if you have an alcohol addiction. Focus on them. Doesn't mean that something else can't be out of line, but we're just going to focus on these. Your root means safety, grounding, survival, stress. That's your root. Your sacral is emotional support or overflow. And your heart is grief, loneliness, and relational pain. Your energetic need to stop all of this is safety, getting into your feelings, and reconnecting into those in which you love. That's alcoholism. So look at your root, your sacral, and your heart. Nicotine, smoking, tobaccos, right? All of these. Not somebody just screamed, MJ, marijuana. Okay, smoking marijuana, I believe is going to go with under substance or drugs, but it could be both. So everybody is different. So we're going to go with nicotine, smoking, any type of inhaling of smoking, right? Your primary chakra is your root and your throat. See how that worked? Root and throat. Your root, you have anxiety and nervous system regulating. You must stop being so stressed and hyper, and that relates to fear. And then you have your throat. Remember, anxiety and fear is caused by the fear of the unknown, the fear of unknown. You are allowed to be here. Get that in your head right now. Your root chakra says, I am allowed to be. Universal law. I am allowed to be here. So anything else, take it out of existence. Your energetic needs for nicotine and smoking is grounding yourself, get rooted into Mother Earth, and have expression. So these are how we're going to stem this down. The next one, if you are an obese person and you're a foodie, you binge eat, these are all things to cause obesity, are causing our health to go down. Your primary chakra is root, sacral, and solar plexus. They're the three chakras that you need to pay attention to. Your root, your comfort and security, comfort foods, remember? Comfort foods, root, comfort and security, sacral. And this one is the unmet pleasures or nurturance. You did not get the hugs and the kisses and the devotions of unconditional loves. You are that. Solar plexus means that you're shaming, your control, and you have self-worth. These are issues. Look at them. Your energetic needs at this moment is nourishment, self-trust. And then we go to sugars. Sugars go beyond foods. Why? Because we crave the ices, we crave the coffees, we crave the sodas, we crave the chocolate bars, right? So sugar addictions, these are primary chakras, are your sacral and your solar plexus. Look those up. Your sacral is about pleasure, deprivation. Your pleasure has been minimized. Your solar plexus, you're feeling very fatigued. Self-esteem depletions. That's your solar plexus. Why? These are the whys. Where is it? Why are these chakras allowing this? Where is the torment? Where is the lesson? Where is that which will get me out of the numbing of having the sugar? Energetic need is joy and vitality. If you are sitting home and you're a binge eater and you're just sitting there eating your cookies and your sodas and your chips, these are sugars, high sugars. You're missing joy and vitality of life. These are your sacral and solar plexus. Now let's go to sex and pornography. Where are our sex addicts, right? Your primary chakras are sacral, heart, and throat. Wow, that's pretty impressive. Your sacral, your heart, and your throat. Why? Well, because sex is in your sacral, it's your womb. That is your organs, your female, male organs. Your heart is because that is the oxytocin, the love hormone is oxytocin, and your throat chakra is to exert those pleasures, oohs, ahs, oh gods, right? The throat. So that makes sense that those three for sex or pornography of addiction is those three. Your sacral is your intimacy wound, right? Your boundary is confusion, right? So a sex addict has no intimacy and they have really no boundaries of why that would be confusing to somebody else, constantly having to have that connection. Your heart, it's longing for love or validation. You feel that you're not loved, which is why that sex hormone, the oxytocin hormone, makes you feel love and validation. Because somebody verbally and the throat isn't speaking. They're probably more annoyed that you constantly keep asking or wanting it and not understanding why I'm not fulfilling. So your partner, who the sex addict or pornography is like, it's never enough. I'm not saying let's have it, never have it again, but where is that block? Remember, you're not the only one in that relationship. It takes two to do this, right? You can virtually do it by yourself. Yes, you can masturbate. You can go to video stores that have pornographies. You can do that and not include somebody else in your demise. Did you write that in your plan? Because all of us, we're not meant to be alone. We're meant to have people within our life. Think about that, right? Your intimacy, your energetic need for sex and pornography is safe intimacy and emotional honesty. That stirs up everything. Okay, drugs like opioids or sedatives, right? This is primary root, is your root, your sacral, and your third eye. Your root, deeply safety wounds, right? That's deep safety wounds in your root. If you have drugs, opiates, or sedatives, you don't feel safe. Your sacral is emotional pain. You went through a lot of emotion, whether you've lost people in your life and you still have the grief, whether you lost products of your body as a member of the military, you still have that grief. This is where we turn to your third eye. This is the escape. Remember this guy, right? The daydreamer. This is the escape from reality or sensation. Energetic need is containment and relief without disassociation. Stimulants, okay? Cocaine, meth, ADHD meds, misused ADHD meds, right? Your primary chakras are your solar plexus, your breadbasket, and your third eye. Your solar plexus is power, confidence, and productivity. That third eye, again, is focus, clarity, and control. Energetic needs for stimulants such as cocaine, meth, ADHD meds is self-worth and presence. This is your energetic need. Find your self-worth, find your presence, love yourself, who you are, where you made it. If you are better today than you were yesterday, then own it, okay? Gambling, the primary chakras of gambling is just solar plexus and root. It is the lower, it's real low, right? Your solar plexus is because you have to have control, identity, and ego wounds. These are all complications of that, having gambling addictions. Your root addictions, having gambling as a root. It's survival, your fear of survival, having that money to pay whatever. And then you have scarcity mindset. Everything is minimized and you'll never have it again. That's the mindset of gambling. So your energetic need then is empowerment and stability. Your workaholics, right? All those who are workaholics. Your primary chakras. I love this because these workaholics are those who say, no, they're a functional addict with alcohol. They're a functional workaholic. So these addictions don't really pay attention. Yes, they do, because the primary is solar plexus and heart. Your solar plexus are worth tied to productivity. Your heart, though, is conditional love. It's approval seeking. Your energetic need for workaholism is intrinsic value and reset and rest. Reset, rest, and intrinsic values. So that's workaholics. Shopping and spending. Your primary chakras are sacral, solar plexus, and heart. If you have a shopping or spending addiction, your sacral, it's emotionally rewarding, but it doesn't last. Solar plexus, identity building. Well, you can shop and you can have something, and then when everybody saw it, now you have to shop again. Heart, emptiness or loneliness, finding that comparable person, that person who is comparison to you, comparable to you, knowing the same kind of things in life. So your energetic needs is fulfillment and self-connection. That is where your energetic needs need to formulate. So technology, social media, FOMO, this is a big FOMO, right? Primary chakras are your third eye, your heart, and your throat. In the older days, we had radio to keep everybody informed. So FOMO was in existence. Then we had TV and everybody was in existence. Everybody knew what was going on. But then what happened? Then we got into internet and we got into social media. We no longer needed the radios and we no longer needed the TVs. Why? Because we found our information, whether we felt it was right, wrong, and different, on social media. Somebody whose man's intention or interpretation decided to fulfill thinks that it wasn't even real. They wanted it in their mind to be real. So you see now why the third eye, the heart, and the throat are primary technology or social media internet addictions. The FOMO, the fear of missing out, and they don't care if it's right, wrong, and different. They have that information because somebody else put it out there. So I can't get blamed for saying it because it was already put out, whether it's right or wrong. So we have third eye, overstimulation, distraction, or we have our heart, which is validation hunger. We need validation. Well, they put it out, so there's my validation. Throat, identity expression into confusion. The energetic need is the presence. It is the authentic connection. Exercise addiction. So people are addicted to exercise. Why? Solar plexus and root. Their solar plexus means that they have control of achievements. They have to be able to achieve something. But let's just face it, exercise addictions, how big do you want to get before your body just can't go anymore? Did you think of that? Think of that. Balance, not too much, not too little, but tone it. Root, fear of collapse or instability. So your energetic needs are balance and embodied safety. You have body shaming going on if you have an exercise addiction. So These are just some of the important teaching rules. Most addictions involve one primary chakra and then two secondary compensation chakras, or maybe one. Healing fails when only the behavior is addressed and the energetic need remains unmet. Your core recovery principle for addiction: heal the chakra need and the addiction loses its job. Heal the chakra's need. I just told you your chakras for the addictions. And then that addiction then loses its job in the ego. Okay. Alcohol, again, root, sacral, heart. We got to do it. The root, safety and grounding. The sacral, healing and flow. And the heart is connection and grief. Nicotine and smoking, root and throat. Root and throat. Food and binging. Root, sacral, solar plexus. Sugars, sacral and solar plexus. These are all the chakras I'm telling you. I'm reiterating. Sex and pornography. Sacral, heart, throat. Drugs, opioids, or sedatives is root, sacral, third eye. You have your stimulants, right? All your stimulants are your solar plexus and your third eye. Gambling, solar plexus, root. Workaholic, solar plexus, heart. Shopping and spending, sacral, solar plexus, heart. Technology and social media, third eye, heart, and throat. Exercising addiction is solar plexus and root. Addiction dissolves when the chakra learns it is safe to receive what it has been seeking. Woo, this has been a lot, folks. I know it is a lot. And it is worth it to study it. It's worth it to look at it. It's worth it. The core mantra: I meet my needs consciously, so I no longer meet them compulsively. That is the program of completion. It's closing the ritual, competitive, repetitive numbing. Acknowledge what addiction protected, honor what has been reclaimed, commit to ongoing balance, not perfection. And that, my friends, will conclude my addiction. If you have questions or you have somebody in trouble with addictions, please allow them to reach out. I am always here to help serve to the highest best that you can be in your lifetime. And we'll do it together if you have nobody who can listen. My name is MJ. I am here with the World of Conscious Positive Thinking. That is our show today. I love you all. I'll be back next week, Monday. Happy New Year, the year of the horse, and we will talk soon. Stay positive, stay free, and rebirth. This is a rebirth of explosion. Mwah.
Life is like a duck. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. Here at Military Broadcast Radio, we're teaming up with our friends at Die Tired, the veteran-friendly music band spreading strength, resilience, and mental health awareness one shirt at a time.
And check this out. Their brand new shirts feature broadcast beaker right on the breast pocket. A reminder that you can weather the storm, and you're never alone.
Shirts are only $25, and proceeds support giving veterans a voice. MBR's mission to teach veterans how to podcast and videocast. Because when our vets are talking, they're not overthinking. They're not second-guessing. Together, we stop the 22 stigma. Grab your shirt today at mbradio.us and hit the shop. Or go directly to toramerch.printavo.com/merch/dietiredband. That's toramerch.printavo.com/merch/dietiredband.
Suit up, stand strong.
Remember, we're unduckable together.
You're built tougher than the storm.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.